Hello everybody, happy Friday and welcome to the Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge. It's Friday, the weekend is here. We've done some awesome stuff. I'm your host Jesse Showalter. Really excited to be here and excited that it's Friday. We got lots of people in the chat. We got Lisa and Jack and Rosie and Tim and Melville and Monier and there's tons of people. If you're not here, if you're watching this on YouTube, jump over to Behance, watch this thing on the live stream, jump in the live chat, hang out with us because we're doing some awesome stuff. We're actually at the final day of this week, and this week has been a kind of a slight crash course in UI design. Next week, we're gonna be coming back on Monday, and we're gonna be doing a crash course in UX design, and we're doing that with Adobe XD, having a lot of fun, learning some cool stuff, and talking about some cool stuff. So let me know in the chat, what is your favorite thing about Friday? What do you dig? What are you getting excited for? Richard Otley's excited. He's got a lot of fun emojis in the chat. I like that a lot. Well, you're here for the Adobe Daily Creative Challenge, so let's talk really quickly, like 60 seconds. What is that? The Adobe Creative Challenge is a way for you to sharpen your UI and UX design skills in just 9 challenges. Each day you're going to receive a challenge. So if we roll down, we'll see the challenges that have unlocked so far. Today we're going to be talking about masks, and we're also going to be talking about using shapes to make things interesting, using shapes in your compositions. Shapes, obviously, can tell a very large story, and they are a foundational tool in UI design. So we're going to be doing that today. You can get the starting file to follow along here, and then you can join the live chat. Not only the live chat, but you can join the community chat over in Discord. And we have over 35,000 creatives in the Adobe XD Discord. So you can jump on here and you can submit your work. You can find community, get all sorts of fun feedback. And we're gonna be looking at some work from yesterday's challenge that's submitted here and also on Behance. Then you're gonna watch this daily show and you're gonna share your work on Behance with the hashtag XD Daily Challenge. That way the world can find your work, give you feedback and reviews. Let's look at a little bit of work that we did yesterday. Yesterday, we talked about alignment. We were creating some sort of recipe app. I focused mine on donuts because I'm a big donut fan. And so we had some submissions. Here's one by Arctic inside of our Discord. And this is kind of a chicken-focused application, but pay attention to the alignment. Look how crisp everything is. Look how nice everything is, right? So nice. Used a little bit of that repeat grid. If I was going to give some constructive feedback to this design, I'd say maybe think about simplifying this bottom navigation and making those icons pop a little bit, and then work a little bit on similar spacing with your gutters in between your elements as well as to the outside. Here was a link that was submitted by Dorji Lama, and let's see. Ryan Chase says, can Jesse go 3 for 3 by getting cut off again? I vow to not get cut off, and I know I said that yesterday, but I've learned my lesson. 2 is enough for me, but you can go watch the full, every piece of it on the playback. I am sorry about getting cut off. We're gonna go fast today and not get cut off. So Dorji Lama has been submitting their work and creating this rad kind of case study about the challenges they've been doing this week. And so there's challenge 1, there's challenge 2, where we talked about color and color palettes. And then here's challenge 3, yesterday's. Also, look at that, some donuts right there. That's pretty nice. I like the use of color. One thing I would say is, I'm gonna zoom in right over here. I'd watch for these. This could be the look you're going for, but maybe it would have been nice to see these be like flat corners or flat edges. But I do, you see, have like a nice rounded thing going on there. Dessert World, that's a nice looking thing. Nice looking branding, like quick branding for this application. Let's do, somebody says, I believe in you, Jesse. Thank you, Tim. I appreciate it. Here's another submission. This one is by Roshit Shrestha. And so this is, let's see, here's day 1 where we did kind of like our typographic kind of focused stuff, did our little blog roll there. Here's day 2 where it's focused on color, creating that landing page. And then here's yesterday's, look at this, even did the follow on screen. And I could see some really nice animation happening using Adobe XD's auto animate to go from here to there. Oh, I would love to see that interaction. That'd be super duper nice. Well, what are we doing today? How are we going to add on to these amazing case studies and Behance submissions and all that stuff? We're going to be building something kind of neat and fun. So let's open up our starting file. File number 4. We're going to be designing just the hero section of a fictional startup website. What's a hero? It's that above the fold top section of a website, the thing that is the champion. It's the hero that when people look at it, they go, ah, that's amazing. You can use, it's very common to use photography for this to wow people, but we're going to focus on using shapes. Shapes is going to be the thing we want to use to really wow people. Obviously, we're going to build off of everything we've done so far. We're going to be using typography and alignment and color to do it as well, but we want to focus on shapes. And to do that, we're going to be using the masking technique inside of Adobe XD and see what we can do with that. You've got a little inspiration there and some resources that you may use. And so I saw this design actually, and it made me think of a designer that I respect a whole lot, and I wanted to share it with you. Steve Wolf Designs, he's a super talented guy and love their studio, but this is kind of some inspiration I'm pulling. I just love the use. It's amazing. Simple shapes can do so much, right? And so he is very big on using simple shapes in all that he does. And I think it can make a real impact. And so my hope today is to use some simple shapes and to do my homage to Steve Wolf and use simple shapes, simple color, integrate typography, maybe a little bit imagery, bring the whole thing together and make a really fun thing. So some resources I might be using today is I like this little site called colorhunt.co. This is a spot where you can pick color palettes. And when you go into the color palette, you can click and it'll copy it to your clipboard. I like that, just to explore color palettes. That's fun. And also Adobe fonts. So you can go to fonts.adobe.com. And I found this really cool pack of fonts I'm thinking about. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to experiment with this today, but this is going to be the Spark font pack. And all I had to do was activate it and the entire font pack was downloaded because I have the Adobe Cloud integration. So that's really, really nice. Let's jump over. Let's start designing. Let's get some stuff done. You've seen these people before. I figured we would use some people inside of it as well. And actually, now that I'm looking at it, why don't we just use this color palette? Because this might be a pretty cool color palette to work off of. I have an artboard. It's a 1920 by 1080. I did that by just hitting A and dropping down and picking my artboard like that. And I have a little branding up there, just a little icon of some kind to get us started, so I didn't have to go out and find one. Let's start with the basic stuff. Let's start with the simple stuff, shall we? Okay. We are going to put some type on the page. Let's do, I don't know, this is going to be products 345. This is the wrong typography for us. Let's just go, let's do Roboto for now, and we might spice it up and do something else, but Roboto, so we'll do products. We will do, I don't know, like services. I can't type today. Services, and let's do contact. Let's just do those 3 for now. Let's take that size way down. It doesn't have to be so big. Let's do that just like so. We'll put it right there. And then over on this side, let's check our measurements here. Our little icon is about 150 away. So I'm going to make sure that I have my guides on, and I'm just going to drag a smart grid or smart guide over to be 150 on each side. That's going to kind of be where I want my content, the edge of my content to stop. Okay. So how's everybody doing in the chat? Let me know what you think. Let's see. I'm planning on working. Richard says he's planning on working on a mini hero project this weekend. Great that I'm doing this today. That's awesome. I'm really excited to see what that project is and how it turns out and how this maybe influences that. Doesn't have to, but maybe it could. That'd be really cool. Okay, let's head over here to this side. I'm just going to drag this across really quick just so I know where stuff's at. I'm going to hit my rectangle and I'm going to make the good old hamburger menu. Let's choose an off black. And it's so funny when you think of hamburger menus. They're so common that it's like I always want to think of some new fun way to do a hamburger menu. So I just experiment a little bit with like placing of it. That's all I do. And maybe that's all you have to do for a hamburger menu. Really, really simple stuff. So let's just grab all that, group it together. We got our little nav icon, okay? All right, what should we do next? We want to bring some of this color in. I'll tell you what the first thing I'm going to do is. I am going to make a rectangle, and you know what I'll do? I'm going to drag this rectangle up. Let's do some sort of big, let's go big color to start, okay? So we're going to use color, and then we're going to start masking and doing some interesting stuff. I'm going to get rid of these colors that are in my color palette, and I'm going to just start adding the new colors from my image below. just so I have them to work with, so they're right there ready for whenever I want them. The problem I'm having here, I like this color palette. The problem I'm having is I feel like I want some sort of like dark base. So I'm just gonna go in here and explore a little bit, maybe like a darker blue color, something that's a little rich, maybe closer to like the purple side of things, and bring it, ooh, how deep do we wanna go? I think maybe pretty deep. Yeah, we're gonna go right in there. And we're gonna go a nice deep blue color. I feel like that'll be a nice thing. Let's turn off our guides off the left and right hand edge. I just did that by pressing Command or Control colon to turn those off. And now we are off and away. Now, kind of back to our conversation yesterday, if you were here, we have these guidelines. We don't have to stick with them though. We could break the rule. Let's do something a little asymmetrical over here. Let's make the whole thing asymmetrical. So really quickly, I'm just gonna do that, and I'm gonna bring some text in. I'm gonna press Command or Control, and I'm using the right or left bracket keys to just bring my layers. That's a really quick way to move your layers around. If you can see that in the left-hand layer panel there. I like to do that. Let's make that text white, and let's see if I can use one of those interesting like type faces from Adobe Font. What should this say? This should say something about a startup, right? So what are we gonna call this startup? How about Absolute? What does Absolute do? It makes email easy for everyone. One of my favorite parts about doing this is just writing the most generic like marketing copy inside of my creations, because I'm just thinking of it right now as we go. Absolute makes email easy for everybody. Okay. Now, the reason I latched on to this typeface, this one, Lust Script, was because, I'm going to just zoom in here. I like the shapes like here on all of the serifs, all these pieces. So if I'm thinking about working with shapes, I'm thinking about working with shape everywhere, right? I'm not just thinking about working with shapes as I draw them over here, but like maybe other portions could have shapes as well. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. It's a little bit abstract. It's not like my go-to style or something that I would do kind of always, but let's see it. Let's see how it works. Okay. Okay. So far, so good. Now I'm thinking I want to start drawing some shapes and pulling in my colors. Let's do that. So let's hit E for ellipse, and I'm going to hold shift to make sure the whole thing is constrained. And now I have a circle. I'm going to go to my colors. Let's pick a color. And oddly enough, this color combination works. I like, Tim says there has to be a generic marketing lorem ipsum. I think I just wrote it, Tim. It's basically what I just wrote. Let's see. Lessa says, what is the typography site for guidance? I like Adobe Fonts. So you can just go to fonts.adobe.com. And then you can, oh, somebody said absolute, like I should drop the T or the E off the end. Yeah, that seems like a trendy thing I could do. That's the name of a startup. So yeah, go to Adobe Fonts Lesson and check that out. Okay, so I have a shape here. And again, we're playing with shapes. We're going to have some fun. Let's do some fun stuff here. So I think if we're going to make an exciting hero, immediately my mind says, don't stay constrained to this blue box that I'm in, but let's break out of it and do something interesting like this. Next thing I'm going to do R for rectangle. And remember, my inspiration is the talented Mr. Steve Wolf. So I'm thinking about shapes. I like these kind of cut out quarter pieces of circles and these lines and these shapes. I'm thinking it's tech infused though, so maybe we should do something that looks kind of like a toggle switch. That would be kind of fun too. So let's take the border off that one. Let's select it and let's try something like that. So now we're just building some shapes in here. This doesn't have to be that long. Let's zoom in and do some shape work. So I'm going to bring this out, and then in a second here, we're going to start doing some masking, which is going to help us quite a bit. So, okay. Somebody says, just remember there's a vodka called Absolute in my hometown. That's true. That's why we took the E off. See how that's, or you can do the real trendy tech thing, which is just add an extra letter here or there. So like absolute, you know what I mean? So we could do that. Let's do a double T on it. That'll make it trendier. Okay, so far so good. Let's make this back into normal text. I think this should be a little bit bigger. Let's just make it really large, really obvious. Okay, let's go back to our shapes. I'm going to select a different color to work with, like this kind of peach color. Now I'm going to draw a rectangle, and let's see, we want the rectangle to be about the same dimensions as our ellipse there. Let's take our border off, and then here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take these elements. This is kind of like an Illustrator workflow, if anybody is kind of accustomed to that. I'm going to take these and I'm just going to start making these shapes. We might as well save them and just start reusing them a lot, right? So I'm going to take this guy, and actually let's make sure that is above that. I'm going to use my tools up here, kind of my Pathfinder tools. I'm going to subtract. That gets me kind of a half moon, kind of a piece of the pie. Somebody said they're in love with the oversized toggle switch, right? Could be fun. Let's take this down here, and now we're going to make our half moon the same width as this one. Now we're playing with shapes. Now we're having fun. We're trying to make Steve proud of us. That's what we're trying to do. Steve, if you watch this, I love you. Okay, I just love the stuff he does. That's kind of what I meant. All right, so that's pretty cool. Why don't we do this? Why don't we make a duplicate of that? We'll bring our square in here, and let's go the full size of it. Right? Okay, let's go half. Let's move it over. Let's subtract again. Okay, now we have that quarter pie piece, but we don't want to put another one right away. How about we bring another circle down in here? And I like the offsetting of it. That could be kind of fun. And what other colors do we have? Kind of a fun orange color. That could be kind of interesting. Okay, pretty cool. What else are we doing here? It would be kind of cool actually to think maybe like we should bring some of this over here into the rest of the composition and not be afraid to play with shapes elsewhere. Like maybe like that. That could be kind of fun. So now we're bringing the shapes all around. Ooh, I'm just having fun with shapes. Okay, let's do the first of our masking, okay? Shall we? We're gonna take our shape over there, and we're gonna take a copy of this. And why don't we bring this shape here, and we're gonna grab both of those, Command or Control Shift M to mask, and now we have our people or our image masked inside of the actual shape itself. Now, what you want to do to manipulate this though is I'm going to double click, and now I'm able to access and move around, right? What's that little hole and what's behind it? This is the idea of masking, right? So I'm going to go ahead and move it around and find where I want to be. And maybe I want to just do a little bit of art direction, change how much of this is being shown, right? Here we go. That's looking a little bit better. And now I'm going to move this into place. So how about instead of just the blank one, we start integrating some of that. I like that. I think that's interesting. Getting the people in there. So this is like the idea, like Absolute makes email easy for everyone. Or how about like makes it Zen-like? Because now we have all these people like kind of doing these poses. That might like work. And I think I like this yellow color. I'm just being maybe not the yellow color, or a blue or a green. I think maybe I like the green. And I think I just want to pop something, like maybe move it around, have some fun with it like that. Yeah, let's do that. I don't know. We'll play with that a little bit later. So far, so good. Okay, now here's an interesting thing about masks, okay? When you're working with masks in XD, you actually, if I just take this shape right here, I could put a shadow on it and start playing with shadows. But once you've masked something, right now at least, the ability to drop a shadow on the mask is not there, because what's actually happening if we go up into our mask group is that's what we've created, a specific masked group, and these elements inside of here now lose the ability, like the shadow. Even if I put a shadow on the shape inside of the mask group, the actual circle, nothing can expand out past. We told it to. We've punched it out and said nothing mess around with anything or be seen or visible past that. So what we actually need to do is create a drop shadow on an element behind it, tuck them together, and now I'm able to, mess with my shadow. So I can create a little bit more blur here, a little bit more Y, like distance, like the X and Y axis, and then I can change the transparency of this as well. So I like a nice, it's especially on that dark blue. We're gonna want something like that. Okay, so let's keep going, let's keep cruising, and I'm just going to butt these things right up to each other. I'm going to make sure that that one's behind. Let's change the color. We're just having fun right now. That's all I'm doing is I'm just messing with stuff. I'm just playing with stuff, with shapes. I'm trying to make Steve Wolf like my hero right now, be proud of me. So, okay, let's do this. I'm going to move that. I like also, ooh, you know, it'd be fun. And again, back to this idea of shapes and rules. Let's break some of our own rules. I'm just making a mess right now and I'm having fun doing it. So here we go. Got a massive pie piece up there and then we're just kind of layering more pieces on top. So let's go like this. I feel like I'm not quite doing Steve Wolf justice, but you know, we're trying. What else could we do? We have these pie pieces. Yeah, you know what? Also, and I like the direction that we're going. It's not that I'm not digging what we're doing, but I think what would be interesting is to add maybe like, I'm going to break my palette and I'm just looking for another color that fits this, like a blue. I felt like I just needed another color. And then let's do this. Instead of this, I'm going to grab my masked group and the shape behind it. It's kind of being my shadow. So I'm just going to title that shadow there. I'm going to group them together. I'm just going to do a duplicate down here because I think that'd be fun. And I'm going to break this out and make it a little bit bigger. Let's bring a different person in there. Again, see how easy it is once I mask stuff. Boom, I just made that change and that change is looking nice. I'm going to go to my shadow. I'm going to take away some of the intensity of that shadow. Doesn't need to be that bad. And maybe we actually need to go with this person who's the blue. There we go. So that's looking pretty nice. I'm digging it. I'm kind of into it. Now, we've made this little composition of shapes and I think it's fun, but we also want to not only focus right there, but let's go behind. We have this nice big blue section. Let's do our Illustrator workflow. I'm going to bring that up here. Now I'm going to mask some shapes inside of other shapes. We got about 4 minutes left. So why don't we do that? So in this last 4 minutes, so that I don't go over the time today, I'm going to create some organic shapes with my pen tool. Make some Bezier curves, have some fun with it. It's going to look a little pillowy, a little cloud-like, and that's okay. That's what I'm after, okay? I'm going to take my shape. I'm going to fill it with white. I'm going to move it over the edge there. I'm going to grab both of them, Command or Control Shift M, and now I've created a mask, right? And so we can move, of course, just like we can with these shapes, we can move this image around inside of it, or we can just take the whole thing and move it right on top of our composition. You're like, why are you doing that? Well, I'm going to move it right about there. Let's make our whole thing a different color. Oh, we're playing with shapes and we're having fun doing it. Look at us, we're getting crazy. Let's turn our guides off. So now I have a little bit of a shape behind there. I'm liking it, and that whole thing is masked. Why don't we do it again? Copy and paste. We'll do another one. Let's drag it down here by the other masked group. Okay. And we'll take the one, let's lock this one. That's our blue one. Let's move the other one over a little bit. Watch this, we'll do something else that's kind of fun. Why don't we make this one white and then we'll take the opacity of it way down. And now what we can do is go in and actually just manipulate the shape so we have a different shape. It's not like a complete mimic of the other one, okay? So, all right, pretty good. This is kind of the start of our hero, and we have like 1 or 2 minutes left. What can we do? Does everyone like this design we're doing? Do we think Steve's gonna be proud of me? I don't know, we'll see. Why don't we just take we'll do some shapes right here really quickly like this. And why don't we just create like a masonry grid for like some images below or some offerings. I don't know what we're gonna do, but let's turn our guides back on like this. And why don't we just grab all of them? We're gonna go to my plugins. Let's grab Photo Splash. Let's add something like tech, like that. And hopefully it's gonna bring up some tech images for me with my internet connection. I'm gonna apply those photos and we didn't get them, but that's okay. We can just fill them with a color for now, like that. All right, and we'll let that be it because we are just about done for the day. Let's get rid of our other selections here. Oh, you know what we need? Oh, right before we go, we need a button. We need a button really, really bad. Let's do a button. I'm gonna do that. bump this over to the side, take that off. Here's my fill. Let's go like this. Let's bring our text down. We're just gonna zip the text up to the top before we run out of time. I don't wanna get cut off today. Let's put sign up now. Let's take our shape, make a nice shape for the button. We could probably make a much nicer button, to be really honest, but we have a goal to not get cut off today like I have been for the last few days. So I would definitely want to play with that a little bit more, but that's the idea of using shapes and masks to make it interesting. Hero for your landing page website, and you're doing it all without doing that same old kind of recipe of focusing on just a large image with a button and some text. We did something a little bit more creative, a little bit more interesting, and we tried to make my hero proud of me today. Hopefully I did. I can't wait to see your submissions. Again, it's Friday. So take your time, get to them when you can, submit them inside the Discord, and we'll definitely be right back here for the daily creative challenge, the XD Daily Creative Challenge, starting on Monday, where we start working on UX design even more and finishing out the work we've done, putting it all together, bringing our UI concepts and our basic design skills into the UX world. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic weekend, and I hope you guys design some amazing stuff. We'll see you here next week. Have a good one.